Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Justin Young. He's Justin Byerly. This is the Justins on the Carolina Corner as we get back from the road after an unbelievable Carolina Jam in downtown Raleigh at the Convention Center. JB, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Just getting back into the swing of things. Ready to put some content out about this great weekend.
No days off. No days off this time of season, my friend. No days off. That was fun, man. That was really fun. I think both you and I, like, we've been talking about this event. We knew of its potential for a long time, and I feel like this past weekend for those 3 straight days, I think what we had on hand was even bigger and better than I think maybe we had hoped for.
No, without a doubt. I mean, like you said, we had talked about it for a while and finally got it to happen last year, and it just got bigger this year. So a lot of talented teams there this weekend. So I think the city of Raleigh enjoyed it, North Carolina enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll tell some people about it.
Yeah, no question. Well, we're going to talk about the overall vibe. We'll do a vibe check as we kind of recap the Carolina Jam. We're going to talk about some of the top games, some of those memorable experiences, some top players. Of course, one of the reasons we do this event is all of our Jam series is to set the table for the live period, which is coming up this weekend and next all over the country. Obviously, we'll be at the Atlanta Jam down at Swanee Sports Academy and then the Grassroots Showcase in Louisville to round things out for our HoopSeen events in the month of April. And we're just kind of go back and forth. We're going to talk about some of the things that we saw. We'll talk a little bit about the Bob Gibbons Next Gen Tournament Champions that we had going on there as well. So a lot to talk about here in the Carolina Corner. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. You talked about just the overall vibe. And I had like a flashback. So when we ran the Best of South the very first time in downtown Atlanta at the Georgia World Congress Center, you lived in North Carolina your whole life. I was in Atlanta for my whole career. And we've gotten to know people we have decades long relationships with people in the game, which I really love, right? It's one of my favorite things about being in basketball is the community. And I remember in the Best of South, people in Atlanta, like, man, I've never seen anything like this in our city before. Thank you. And I feel like, I don't know about you, did you have a similar experience at the Carolina Jam with people that you've known for a long time, talking about just the scale and the grandiosity? Did I just make up a word of what the Carolina Jam was at the convention center?
Yeah, I mean, I had guys come up to me that honestly I didn't recognize that. They said, "Hey, man, it's been about 10 years since we've seen each other. But, thank you for bringing this to Raleigh. North Carolina's a big state, so
Yeah.
whenever we get a chance to do things in different parts of the state, I think it's good. And then, just a lot of people came up to me and were just excited about it and really had a good time. And I think we gave them throughout the weekend, we gave them some good basketball. But on that Saturday, they had some high level teams in there, so everyone was just excited to see that. And everybody just kept saying, this was a great event.
Yeah, it was. It was fun. And there was an energy in downtown Raleigh, I think, this whole weekend. There's a lot of things going on. There was a concert on Friday night. There was like a arts festival or something on Saturday. The weather was really nice. People were walking around. We went out and got some good, solid barbecue and great biscuits.
Great.
Solid.
Yeah.
But there was an energy to it that I was really excited about, that I really think, and I've said this since 2019 when Mike Eddy and I went there and met with the Raleigh Convention Center to really think about this event, was the sheer potential of what this event can be on a grand scale. And I'm excited to see where we can go. I mean, we doubled in size in 1 year for this event. And I'm excited to see like where we can take it moving forward. So definitely an energy. And listen, you mentioned Saturday, right? So Saturday was a day that we had matchups intertwined with a lot of our tournament style that we have going on for the event. But listen, the big game that everybody wanted to see was Team United and Team Loaded, right? The Nike sponsored team, the Adidas sponsored team, Eli Ellis, Jared Stevenson. I mean, like, high level guy. I mean, I've left out a lot of guys in that matchup, but like, these are the matchups that you want to see before we get into the live period. And on a hyper local state scale, like, where does this kind of stack up? You've seen some great games in the state of North Carolina, but that was unbelievable, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a lot of momentum kind of leading up to that. A lot of people on the inner circle knew it was going to happen, but we didn't release anything really until mid last week. A lot of those tweets and stuff got a lot of traction. And then when that time came, I looked around and it was about 13 or 14 people deep
really was.
around the whole court. So I mean, it was packed house for that
Yeah.
game. It's hard to pack out the Raleigh Convention Center, but that court was packed out.
Well, it's funny. I've been going through, like, listen, we have, and when I say thousands of photos and probably thousands of hours of video from all these different content creators, it's not a hyperbole, like legit. And every single shot throughout the weekend was I mean, it was packed in there. It was packed. So the energy was awesome, but everybody wanted to come see that show. Let's talk about that game. You know, if you're watching this, you're probably a hoop head. You probably already know like how the shoe stuff works, right? Like Adidas has their circuit, Nike has their circuit. But in the old days, they used to not be so singular in their competition. They like Adidas teams generally only play Adidas teams in their circuit. Nike only plays their teams. It's hard to get, cross brands. This threw all that out the window. And it was kind of back to what I remember. And this is what it felt like for me. It was going back to old Bob Gibbons when it was at North Carolina and Duke and NC State. And really, to me, my most favorite event I've ever covered in my entire career. And it felt similar to that, not obviously on the venue, although Raleigh Convention Center is pretty awesome, not like that. But it was all about the competition. It was all about the game rather than all the other stuff. You throw out the swoosh, you throw out the stripes. This was about basketball. And Eli Ellis came out with those heavy gloves and started throwing punches in a figurative way. I mean, what did you see from him in that first 10 minutes of action?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty wild. Yeah, I think he scored the first 21 points for Team Loaded North Carolina. In a high-level game like that, I can't say that I remember not many times. I can't think of anything that I've seen a team go against another high-level team where one guy really dominated from the get-go the way that Eli Ellis did.
I was thinking about this I had a really long flight to go back. I'm based in Arizona. So I left at the end of the tournament yesterday on Sunday, got home really late on Sunday night, watched the Suns lose. It was heartbreaking. But I was sitting there thinking on the flight, like, where did that game, Team Loaded won convincingly, right? And they finished with 27 points, really passed the ball really, really well. Like, unbelievable, really made me really think a lot about what he can be at the college level as a competitor. But then I started to think about where did that stack up with some of the best games that I've seen on our platform over the years. The crowd, the experience reminded me a lot of the Zion experience that we had when he was coming up, whether it was South Carolina Hornets. Now, no one was around then to be there. And when Game Elite came around, it was some. But then when he was a senior, going into his senior year, when he broke off to his own Adidas team, it was nuts at Best of South. I mean, we literally, same thing, 13, 14 people deep. They had to come see the show. We had him playing against, like, Vernon Carey, who at the time was like a top 5 prospect, and Nasir Little and Elliott Williams, and guys as high school players were pretty high level, prospects to say the least. And then honestly, it reminded me of like when Colin Sexton drew that kind of crowd when he was coming up, and Jaylen Brown drew that kind of crowd when he was coming up, and in those old Gibbons games. I mean, you've been with us a long time. Like, where would you stack up that performance and that experience and some of the best things we've done in our experience at HoopSeen?
Yeah, I mean, it's right there with the Zion show when all that happened. I mean, he did it back in his home state. Crowd against a team that a lot of people consider maybe one of the best 17U teams in the country.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Some top 25 guys out there for Team United, and don't take anything away from Team United. They're still a very good program. This Eli Ellis came to show the state what he's all about again, and I think he quieted a lot of people that maybe think that he's not what I believe he is. A high major guard.
He competed at a level that, like, it's interesting. I feel like competition now is like the 8th most important thing now for a lot of players, right? Like we've seen this before. Like, I'll be honest, like Mikey Williams, a lot of eyeballs everywhere he went, right? I'm not kidding you. This isn't a slight. This isn't a knock. I never saw him win a game.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I never saw him win a game. And so it's like, well, what are we even playing for, right? Like, what's the deal? You play to win the game. Yeah. And that's what it was all about. And that's where, for me, I was like, oh, damn, this little dude is out here just freaking ready to go and wanted to win right out the gate. And to me, like, that's where I think that's how you really earn the respect is like, listen, go win it. And to your point about being on the home turf, that's the part that I think got me the most excited about what the Carolina Jam was this year and moving forward down the road to what it can be, moving forward ahead as we look at the next decade. Hopefully we have that same sort of experience year in and year out. But man, absolutely phenomenal experience, great vibes. Shout out to Team Loaded, big win. But to your point with Team United, I'm with you, man. They got so much length and so much versatility on that roster. I'm excited to see what the next couple weeks look like for them as they hit out there on the NCAA live period recruiting trail. So to that end, I think that's a good pivot for us, JB, as we look ahead. Listen, we want to make sure teams are getting an opportunity to start their story, which we talk about all the time at HoopSeen. Give me some players and maybe some storylines that you saw from the Carolina Jam. If you're a college coach and you're watching this now that we're 11 minutes in, give me some players that maybe started their story or at least added more emphasis on what they do on the court that college coaches are going to want to take notice here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, first off, I was really impressed with the play of Team Wall, 17's guard, Julian Cole. He's Paul McNeil's teammate down at Richmond High School. They were playing against each other. But Julian Cole is just a guard with size that just loves to attack the paint and the rim and has that length to cause a lot of problems. And I feel like, playing at Richmond, probably Paul got a lot of the love over there, but this kid can play. I mean, this kid looked like a college level prospect. And I think with Team Wall and with the live period coming up, I'm hoping that college coaches will see the same thing I did. This kid's got the goods.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys that will fall in that category from this event as we continue to peel back the layers. Like I said, man, we're going to have content all week long, right? Like you may not see everything on Monday. Just rock with us. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming, so make sure you go to hoopseen.com. Look for North Carolina. We're going to have a ton of coverage on Carolina Jam. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter at HoopSeenNC, and then, of course, on HoopSeen on Instagram. We got a lot of stuff popping over there. A lot of players will be coming through. When I look at it, there are two big guys, actually, that really kind of jumped off the page for me. And again, I may be a little bit more naive. I'm not in the state of North Carolina. I'm all the way out here in the West. So for me, it was my first opportunity to see these guys in person. And you mentioned it after the tip-off. And in that big game, Richard Good, that dude came with the goods, man, for Team Loaded. I think he might be a guy that warrants top 100 inclusion nationally, and a guy that if I'm a high major program, I'm looking at that big man from Greensboro going, yeah, we gotta give that guy an opportunity with a scholarship. Did you see? How much better was he on this stage from what you saw even 3 weeks ago at the tip-off?
Yeah, I mean, he was better. He's just one of those guys that continues to progress and get better, and he's doing it at the right time. So, any college coach that gets a look over the next 2 weeks, you're going to see what we saw.
Yeah, I think he warrants some eyeballs, and I think he's going to be a player that I wouldn't be shocked to see some of our colleagues on the national side really put some ink to his name to see what else. I thought Bobby Cannon also was a guy for Garner Road that was really interesting. Like, I don't even remember who it was, and if you were like the 15-year-old standing next to me at a game and said, man, it looks like Imani Bates, that's actually not a bad call. It kind of does look like physically 6'10", long, the hair, shot the ball really, really well. You and I were standing there. What game were they playing? Who were they playing when we were watching that game?
Team Trez Edwards, yeah.
And, Bobby Cannon will show you a flash here and there. Great three-point shot, really, really long. Probably going to be a 7-footer when he gets to college. That's kind of the thing. He mentioned Imani Bates probably because of how he shot and just kind of physically how he looked. But, listen, I learned my lesson with a guy I think about this every single time I turn on the TV, and it's a great reminder to not completely get overwhelmed by the production that you see in the moment. And Nick Claxton comes to mind every single time. When I watch that guy, I watch a lot of NBA. I watch a ton of NBA. Every time I see Nick Claxton play, I can't believe the player that I'm seeing, because in high school, we didn't see that guy. He was very, very much the prospect, way more than he was the player. And I'm not saying Bobby Cannon's going to be a guy that, warrants, 15 points and 8 rebounds and 3 blocks a game in the NBA. But Nick Claxton, as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, was not the player. I don't think anybody outside, maybe even the Claxton family, thought he would become. But a guy like Bobby Cannon does make you wonder, who is he going to be as a 23-year-old, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I can definitely see that. Nick Claxton, like you said, was not what we was not then what he is now, and I think Bobby could have a similar path.
Could be, right? And that's the part where I'm always going to err on the side of potential with a guy like that. You know what I mean? Because of the game. It's all about length. It's about athleticism. On the flip side, and they were playing Team Trez, a guy that you've wrote about. I mean, I feel like you were writing about him when we first started our website, and this was Jordan Vick. I mean, there's this picture of him that looks like he's, in kindergarten. He looks so young. Now he's grown up, man. He's finally, it's his senior season, going into a senior season, playing with Team Trez Edwards. East Carolina snatched him up real quick.
Right.
Man, I gotta be honest with you. I love it. I love when a school that's a non-high major or whatever we want to call programs now get an early commitment from a player, because they're on to something. I mean, they really are on to something. Jordan Vick's got killer mentality, bro.
Yeah, no, he's a dog. I like him. He talks some junk out there. He likes to get a little physical, but he will come at you. He will go straight through your throat with a drive down the paint, or he'll step back and knock down some shots from the outside that he's really worked on. I think right now he's a legitimate 3-point shooter. He's very capable of making a lot of shots.
Yeah,
he's good with the ball in his hands. He doesn't turn it over. I think East Carolina's Mike Shorts come in there and got a local kid that can play.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm excited to see again, we've seen guys like him go on to college. If you can make shots, you're going to be a player in college that's going to see the floor. I mean, it's that simple, right? It's that simple. And again, we talk about maturing, and I think the more I think about it, people always ask, well, now with the portal, we hear this all the time, right? You and I have been running recruiting services for a really long time. It's harder than ever before to be a high school senior to even get a sniff, even think about playing in college as a freshman. So what can you do that puts you on the floor right away when you're competing for minutes with a 21-year-old that's already played in college? Well, make shots.
Yeah.
Make shots, create shots, and make shots. And Jordan Vick is a guy that I think that can do that really, really well. As you can probably hear, I'm losing my voice. There was a lot of, you had to talk loudly, I think, at the Carolina Jam,
right.
Because it was so crowded in there. But I want to kind of wrap things up. But I saw a lot of good things from a lot of teams that I'm really excited about seeing, and we're going to have a lot more on the website. DMV Stags, I'm very excited to see on our HoopSeen Association platform this year. Man, they've got great size. You had a chance to see them on Sunday morning, Saturday morning. I can't remember what day. It's all the days run together for me.
Yeah, I don't remember which day it was either, but yeah, they have some size. Look like a couple guys around 6'10". And then they have some guards that can really play. So that's another DC area, Virginia team that we're looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, we're going to cover them really, really well this year on our HoopSeen Association platform. Obviously, 101 Elite. If you saw a team walking in that was taller than everybody else, that had like tie-dye, really bright color, you probably saw a lot on our social media. We had to adjust, like not kidding you, we had to adjust some rims and get the tools out to fix some of the rims and baskets because of how hard these guys were dunking all over the basket. Got a ton of stuff on that team coming up. 101 Elite. We'll have a lot more this season as well. Atlanta Jam, Grassroots Showcase, covering those guys. Really like Flight 22 if you're an academic program, if you're in the Patriot League, if you're in the Ivy League, if you're at a really good D3 school. Flight 22 is a program, all the programs really, is a program that you're going to want to get out there and see. Team Trez, Rod Williams, they've got some guys that are on that program that we know last year they started the season 9-0, I think, maybe 12-0. Like, they had an unbelievable run to start the year. I think they've got an even better team, quite frankly, top to bottom this year than they did last year. I think Tori Alston, who we know really well was committed to Sam Houston State, is going to play with those guys here in the live periods coming up. So certainly guys to watch there. So much more to talk about there. I did want to talk for a second. And again, I'm kind of running out of voice here, but the Bob Gibbons Next Gen, I want to talk about that for a second too, JB. Was Gibbons the first event you ever went to, like travel team event, like on a big scale? I'm just curious.
Yes. Yeah. It was the first time I'd ever, that's the first time I'd seen anything, when I first got started.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people in the state of North Carolina that was that way. For me at Rivals, I remember driving up 85. My oldest was like really little, maybe like a year old, and she's now 20 in college. And I remember driving up 85 from Atlanta to North Carolina. I remember distinctly crossing the North Carolina state line, and it was like I was going to Disney. Like I got the chills. Like I'm going to Bob Gibbons. They're playing like this. Like I was really excited to go there and go attend it. And when it left the state of North Carolina, we took it over. We brought it down to Swanee Sports County. We've been playing it there for the last decade, the high school stuff. But we've been wanting to get it back to the state of North Carolina. Pardon me. So this was our first year to do that. We brought the Bob Gibbons Next Gen Tournament Champions, just middle school teams only, to the state of North Carolina. And I think that this has a chance to really grow into something special. It's so good to have that brand back in the state of North Carolina where it all began. And man, I don't know about you, but I saw some unbelievable young teams when I would come over there on Friday. I spent all Friday night watching the young guys at the Next Gen, and Team Curry was a team that won it. And obviously Team Curry's going to have a lot of players that are really, really good and within their program. But they've got size, they've got some great guards. And Warriors Elite is another program that I saw. Strong Center out of the North Carolina area. I mean, some really impressive young programs with really good coaching. Like a good foundation of skills to grow. And I couldn't have been happier with seeing like what the future holds for particularly the state of North Carolina. I know we had a lot to kind of cover, but your snapshot, quick judgment on Next Gen, what did you think of it?
Yeah, so I got to watch the 14U Black Championship, Team Curry against Warriors Life Elite. And Curry, the Curry program is, it's a system. They get guys that can play. And a couple of the guys for the 14s were younger brothers of, DJ Nix at Cornell. His little brother Sean was a player for Team Curry. Then Chadlin Traylor's little brother was the guard for Team Curry. So they've got older brothers, that were with Curry, DJ, and you can tell that these kids know how to play and they're coached well, and it's a really good program. Same with the runner-up team. So a lot of the teams we saw were really good, and I'm happy to see happy to give some love to the middle school guys.
I think that event moving forward for us warrants its own standalone weekend. I think there's some real potential there. Like if you're a program and even like Dallas or Chicago or out here in the West, of course in the Southeast, that might be something that when you look at your calendar in 2024, when you're thinking about like on a national scale, think about Bob Gibbons Next Gen. I think for us in our programming, that's something that we really want to grow, and we really want to kind of bring it back to that standard in which Mr. Gibbons built it up to. So I'm excited to see where that can go moving forward. But again, running out of voice, we saw so much basketball. I mean, I'm not kidding you. We have files and files and files to go through. Tons of stuff coming up on the website this weekend. Of course, our team of Josh Check and Garrett Tucker, they're at the Bama Jam. We have a lot of stuff coming from them as well on hoopseen.com. So if you've made it thus far, 23 minutes into this video, make sure you like and subscribe here on YouTube. We appreciate you watching. If you're watching this on Twitter, make sure you retweet this, share this with your friends. Let us know what else we've got to keep our eyes on as the season moves forward into the live period here as we wrap things up. If you want to get involved with the high school Bob Gibbons Tournament Champions, make sure you go to hoopseen.com/events. Go ahead and get registered today. And of course, the granddaddy of them all is the Deep South, not the Deep South, that's the girls event that we're running this week at the Raleigh Convention Center. The Best of the South, there we go, at the Georgia World Congress Center in July 6th through the 9th for the NCAA live period. Make sure you join us in downtown Atlanta in July. JB, let's rest our voices, man. Let's go drink some tea and honey and try to get our voices back. I don't know about you, but I need some relief right now.
No doubt.
Maybe put a smoked orange in there. That's an inside joke. So we appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for coming out to the Carolina Jam. We'll see you soon back out there on the recruiting trail. JB, appreciate the time.
No problem.